Good morning, everyone. This is Lee. So, first of all, welcome to today's session. And our co host today with me is Julie. So, Julie, just say hello to everyone.
Hi, I'm Julie. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Lee.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's really lovely to connect with, women who are in business. And also, I believe, are you in America, Julie, or are you
I
Canada?
am. I'm just outside Portland, Oregon, and it is 3 p.m. in the afternoon here.
Oh, lovely. So, as most of you know, I'm an Aussie girl. I'm from Australia. So, but obviously, I have a lot of, colleagues and connections in different membership groups that I belong to personally to support me and help me to move my business forward as well. And it's amazing to meet all these amazing women and having these really heartfelt conversations with you as our connections and audience. And today, we're going to be talking about that productivity that's going to help you to stay focused during the day. And I don't know about you, Julie, but I find that if I haven't organized myself at the beginning of the morning, that I often just spinning my wheels and feeling overwhelmed, and I don't even know where to start. And it's not a good feeling. Have you ever experienced that, Julie?
Yeah, it's funny because one of my coaches calls it my squirrel brain because if I don't have a plan, I'll be here thinking of something and here over here, and I'll jump in over here. And then the first thing, nothing ever got accomplished, just a lot of things got started.
Yeah, absolutely. I know as an entrepreneur, there's so many things going on in my head. God, it's a mess in there at times. I can tell you, there's all conversations happening inside my head, and and it's just it can be overwhelming because as an entrepreneur, we're juggling so many things at one time, especially if we're just starting our business and we don't have a team around us yet. So we haven't got our VAs, our virtual assistants, and we haven't got people around us, and we need to do everything because as you know, Julie, once we get into business, it's a whole new world. There's so much you've got to learn around marketing and presenting yourself and positioning yourself and social media. And oh my gosh, it can drive you crazy, can't it?
Yeah, I think it was interesting. It's a lot different than working in an office where someone else gives you the project and you do your part and then other people contribute because you're in charge of marketing and sales and coming up with the ideas or producing the products or coming up with the, content, all the things.
Mm. And, Julie, I find for me, there's times that I fall off the wagon and I'm not productive. And those are the times that I have to remind myself of how nice it feels when I wake up every morning knowing exactly what I have to do to be organized and planned. It's such a great feeling to have that. And I'm wondering if people are watching us out there, put something in the comment to us, are there times where you're not organized and then you look at being organized and you start a new habit or something and it just doesn't stick and you go back to your old habits as well? Have you ever experienced that as well, Julie, where you should be doing your productivity stuff and you know all the information, but you kind of get sidetracked?
Yeah, it's something in my business I find, especially working at home, that
Mm,
just any little thing can take me off track. And so over the years, I've developed some strategies that help me get more done. There
yeah.
still are those days sometimes where I find myself either looking at my phone or turning on the TV, and then it's 2 hours later. And I just have to forgive myself and say, okay, tomorrow we're going to get back to the plan.
Yeah. We have to be kind to ourselves, don't we? We're not perfect. So, my preferred way of having structure in my day and planning my day and keeping myself on track is using Pomodoro timers and Trello boards. And I'm going to be talking about that as well. But Julie uses something different. So Julie likes to use planners. So Julie's going to be talking to you about planners as well. So do you want to kick today's conversation of, why do you prefer planners to begin with, Julie?
Well, I am always someone who likes to write things down. I feel
Mm,
like just the act of writing it down helps me remember more. And I was a big fan of daily planners right when I got out of college. I, had my planner that I, used with the rings. I have some here to show you guys, but yeah,
Sure.
it was one of the things that I really liked to be able to do. And then I got away from that, as cell phones started to be the big thing and digital planning, and I had kids, and I have been a freelancer since before I had kids. So I would write things down, but then I kind of just got away from it. And paper planning, probably around 2014, started to rise again and become a thing where people were creatively planning in their planners and using stickers and things. And I'd always been a memory keeper and a scrapbooker. And I thought, wow, I could join my two hobbies together, and maybe I should give this a try. And it's something that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, and I was reading I was reading a bit of research, because I'm always on the internet learning and looking at things differently, because I really value about learning more information for me, but implementing as well. But there was some sort of research that says that when you start writing things down, it actually slows your mind down. So you embed the information a lot more than just using a keyboard. So that was really interesting to actually see that research, that, if you write things down, it's really great, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed or things like that, because it does help you to slow your thinking down, and to, because usually if you're overwhelmed, you're in a hypo state, you're up there and you've got so much happening, that it's great to have an activity that will help you to breathe and slow down and center and get reality out of your head, get the reality from dumping your ideas out of your head on paper as well. Do you think that's something that you are observing when you are actually doing your planners and things like that?
I think so. One of the things that I learned, and I had practiced it throughout school since I was a kid, was doing a lot of brainstorming or brain dumping. And a life coach that I worked with, really suggested doing that. And I find that I feel better. And one of the things too is being able to get better sleep. If I dump all these ideas that I have into one of my journals or into a section in my planner, that I'm a lot more able to, sleep at night, and I don't forget those ideas that I come up with, because I worry that, I'm going to forget that. But I feel like my mind works really quickly with ideas, and it's easy to forget or misplace things. So I think that sitting down for me on like a Sunday evening, and I do use a digital planner in my phone. I love the app that I have. It texts me and my husband and my kids when someone needs to be somewhere and things. But the writing down of all the things for my business really, really helps me keep things under control. It also helps me to not overschedule, to remember to eat during the day and
Mhm.
take a break or go for a walk, like I did in the pouring down rain this afternoon.
Mm. Mm. And when you do your in your diary and everything else as well, because I know for me, I love using colours as well. So I actually like to, like, for example, my exercise, my daily exercise. I believe it or not, I do some exercise, and my exercise is normally at lunchtime. Making sure that I stop my work, because I work from home, and it can be so easy to not have breaks, because you get so I suppose, focused on your business and things like that, that I have to set timers to remind me to actually get up out of my desk and go for a walk, or do my exercise during the day. So I've got into a little bit of a routine now, that at lunchtime, I have my lunchtime, like if I was working in the corporate arena, and I take my hour lunch, and I live really close to the bay. And what I do there is I drive to the bay, which is only about a 5-minute drive. I take my lunch with me. I eat my lunch in front of the water, and I do my hour exercise as well. I walk along the water, and, I see the birds and the pelicans. And if I'm stressed, I watch the water. But I actually put that event in my diary as a different color. So I use a red color, which is my time, time down, my time out of my business that helps me to focus as well. So when you do your diaries, everything else as well, do you go through color coding if you're a visual person as well, Julie?
I have done it a couple different ways. I have at different times had one planner for business and one planner for home. And I did a lot more color and decorating in that planner. And then I found that I was being distracted by the choices of, wow, what color should this be? Or what theme should I have for my stickers this week? So what I started doing was just using a black pen in my work planner. And I'll do things, I doodle and I'll make stars or I'll circle things or I'll do it in a different kind of lettering to have it stand out. But for me, in order to get done with the actual planning, I had to let go of the part where I wanted it to be pretty. I'm a brand designer also. And so really I could spend all day. I used to have an Etsy shop making planner merchandise. And so I could spend all day doing the designing and deciding on the colors. And I was like, wait, hold on. You need to be doing the work. So
Yeah.
get it all in there.
Absolutely. So obviously you've experienced many, many different planners. What are some of the elements that you look for in a good planner? If we were going to look at a good planner, what are some of the elements that you actually look at before you choose the planner that's your choice? For example, is it a 1 page per day planner, or do you have your different segments on the pages?
I have all sorts of planners, and I've designed a couple, which actually brought some interesting insight into it. I think that as far as, people, we're entrepreneurs and business owners. And for me, a really important part of that is to have an hourly schedule section in my planner. I'm not sure I have one like that right by me, actually. But I like to have, from the time I get up until the time I go to bed on the time, because I like to block out and do time blocking. And I might not narrow it down. When I set up my whole week, I don't typically narrow it down to what I'm doing every hour, every day. But I can say that, on this day, I have between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. to do work. And on this day, I don't have any appointments from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And I'll circle that and just say work when I first get started. And so it's on there. I like to also have where I can see the whole week at one time. So I like to have a couple different sections to deal with that. I do like to have 2 pages for each day. I like to be able to write down my schedule on there. I like to have a place to jot notes, and I have gotten to where I've cut down my to-do list. I used to make it so long, but I try to prioritize the 3 most important things that will move my business forward toward my goal for this week. And so I have a section for that. And I do mark down, then like the night before, I'll say, tomorrow I need to email these 5 people, or I need to create a newsletter for this week. And I'll go back to that section that I marked off for work, and then I'll put that in there. So for me, I really think it's having an hourly schedule, and especially if there's a place to write your goals for the day down there. And of course, a place to jot things down is nice too, because I find myself getting ideas and just putting them in there on that page.
That's right. I know. I've seen a lot of diaries too that are coming out too, where there's a little at the bottom of the page. There's a little line of checklists, and you can tick off all the activities that you've actually achieved for the day. And I think people like to see ticks. I think it comes from our, growing up as a young child when we were in school, and we got a gold stars, when we were successful as children in kindergarten or things like that.
Yes.
I love being able to tick things off, but I don't really like crossing them out. So that's really interesting, because I don't like crossing my achievements out for the day. I want to be able to see them and tick them off, and try and get as many ticks as I can at the end of the day. So I think I'm a little bit competitive, and I have a bit of a competitive streak in me, but I compete with myself. So I'm always making sure I've got to make sure I get 5 ticks by the end of the day, or 6 ticks or whatever. So maybe I've got a bit of a crazy mind. What do you think, Julie?
I think it's nice. I mean, hey, I'm someone who has added something to my to-do list after I did it when I realized it wasn't on there, just so I could check it off. So I totally understand. I have also done things where I'll make a big to-do list and I will check off those boxes if I did them on Monday. And then I just take that list and put it over on Tuesday and I just keep working on it, because it's not so much that we have to have those 25 things done in one day. It's just the things that we would like to have done, you know.
Mm.
And so I think that, here is one of the planners that I really like. Oh gosh, I'm going to try and
Oh gosh, your background is fading a little bit in there.
there we
So,
go. Kind
yeah,
of.
this step
So
idea.
up
Yeah, yeah.
here, she has a date, and there's 3 places to write your top 3 things. And then you can either do a list or timed here. And this is the whole week on 2 pages.
Yeah.
I like that too, because some of the planners have a little more freedom, like all of the sections aren't titled. And I do like that. I know a lot of people really like bullet journaling with a little dot grid in the background, but I find that I get lost again in the creative part of drawing out the thing, and I never do that productive part.
Sure.
So I do think it's nice to have that place for our lists. And if we can, a planner that has rings in it is really nice for that too. This one is you can punch and move your list as you
Yes.
go to each day too. So
Very good.
yeah, I like that too.
Sure. And I know I believe it or not, I have done journaling as well, but I do like Pomodoro timers. But this particular journal that I got from a mastermind group that I belong in, they also had a page in the journal as well, which was at the end of the day, which was a reflection back page. I really like that. And the reflection back page is all about, how did you go for today? Did you actually achieve the things that you're supposed to achieve, or did you get distracted and do all the easy things that or avoiding those tasks that perhaps makes you feel uncomfortable? And I always remember reading this book, and it's called what was it called? It was called Eat Your Frog, or Eat the Frog. Have you ever heard that book, Julie?
No.
Yeah, Eat the Frog was all about, there's always one hairy task that's sitting on your to-do list, and it gets moved from one week to the next week to the next week to the next week. It's the one that's the most draining for you, because maybe it's not in your zone of genius as an entrepreneur. But unfortunately, you may be in that position where you're not financial in that position to have team members to outsource. So unfortunately, the truth here goes, you have to do it all. And there's some areas that when you first start your entrepreneurship, such as a big thing that I see when most of my clients come on board with me, is technology. The fear of, how does this connect with this one? How does that work? How does that work? How does that work? How does that connect? And, or video editing. Oh my God, it can take me hours. Like I did a 5-minute video just recently where I did my own story behind the video. And it took me 5 hours to do a 5-minute video. It's just like, oh my God, what's going on here? So Eat the Frog, it means that every day, the first thing you look at is your list, and you find the thing that is the biggest item to move your business, and you make it the first priority that you look at. So at the end of the day, you feel excited and a sense of achievement, because you've done something that is not your zone of genius, and you got that elephant out of the room, or you got that frog out of the room. So Eat the Frog, it's a really good book, and I recommend it as around time management, to actually have a look at that book and eat your frog. So get that frog out there and get it finished and get it off your to-do list as well. And some other strategies as well, Julie, that I actually like doing, and that is have a do not to-do list as well. The things that distract you, like me, if I'm being distracted and I'm really truthful to myself and I don't want to eat my frog and I don't want to do that activity today, I have a really good, wonderful distraction called, let's go down and have a cup of coffee and a piece of cake down the road.
I dive into social media on my phone.
Yeah. Or let's do a bit of a scroll through our Facebook groups or whatever and see how many likes we've got today.
Yep.
And we visited our group only 10 minutes ago, you know. So it's being aware of those distractions that maybe we are consciously aware, or maybe we're not even consciously aware of doing it. So I know my distractions because I have a high level of self-awareness. So I know that when my mind goes to, let's go and have a coffee and a piece of cake, I have to, and I enjoy that, but I have to make sure it's a reward for what I've achieved first in the day. So I set up my day structure that using Pomodoro timers, as I was talking to you. I'm going to go a bit more into that as well. But what I do is I make sure that I actually do 4 blocks of focused work per day. That's my minimum. Sometimes I do more. So if I'm doing a launch or I'm doing other things in my business where I'm doing a lot of marketing and promoting of my next programs, obviously that increases. But I still want to allow myself time each day to enjoy being in business, to have self-care, and things like that. I don't want to become a workaholic. So I make sure that as well. So recognizing your distractors or the things that might not to-do list that I'm aware of, it helps me to manage that and be truthful to myself and understand this is what I normally do. So having that self-awareness is extremely important. Have you got any distractors that you use for yourself, Julie, when you're having that moment during the day?
Well, I really have a hard time when I know that something, like you were saying, is outside my comfort zone, or it isn't my zone of genius. I did this about 2 years ago. I redid my whole website, and it wasn't something that I could hire out, but it really wasn't something I could do that easily either. And so it was something where when I thought about doing it, and I would put it in my planner and I would put it on my to-do list and I would break it down, and I still wouldn't do it. And it's funny because the way that I first started realizing I was doing this is that suddenly I'd be doing something like cleaning the bathroom, which I hate and I don't like to do, or like weeding the garden. And I would suddenly stop and go, wait a second, I'm doing this because I'm supposed to be doing something else. If I'm doing the last thing that I would ever want to do on my to-do list, suddenly then I'm avoiding what, was at the top of the list. So I'm getting better at that. My daughter is at university now, and a couple of years ago, she said, Mom, I found this app and it keeps me off of my apps on my other apps on my phone. It's called Flora, and it is a fun little thing, and it's visual for me. You can set it for a certain amount of time, and if you go out of the app to check Facebook or Instagram or anything on your phone, it kills the cute little plant that you're growing. So you get to pick the plant, and it'll make you a nice little garden if you keep doing the little blocks.
Oh, I love that.
And I like that because it helped me, know that, okay, it's 15 minutes right now. I can get through this. It's half an hour or however long it is. And then even if my phone's sitting there, I won't, jump up, because I did kill a couple trees one time.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of doing that. I also really like to listen to channels that are like smooth jazz on my phone. And that helps me be kind of calm, and people aren't talking, because I get distracted by that too. So
absolutely. Now I want to talk a little bit about Pomodoro timers, is what I use. So it's a free app, and it sits on. Well, I actually use a desktop version. I like that more. I'm more of a desktop laptop type person more so than a phone person. I don't know. I still think a phone to me is about just ringing someone. So I'm not that tech savvy using a phone. So I like to use laptops and desktops. But Pomodoro timers, I just found them really amazing. So there's a program called Pomodoro, I think it's .com, but if you do a search on Google, you'll find it. It's time management. And I was amazed at the changes that it had in that program just recently, because when you pull it up, it also allows you now to actually add all the tasks that you want to do during the day. And again, it's colorful, so I like color, so it's very colorful as well. So I add at least 4 or 5 tasks on my list using my on my computer on my Pomodoro page. And then you can set the timer. Obviously, it goes off at a specific time. Normally, a lot of people, let's say the default is 25 minutes. But I don't like working in 25-minute blocks. To me, it's not long enough for me. I like to be focused on hourly blocks. So it's a personal preference. It's whatever is best for you. So you choose if you want to work in 60-minute blocks or 25-minute blocks or whatever. So what happens, obviously, you set the timer on your computer, you've got your tasks there, and then you hit start and it just sits in the background on your computer. And you know that when you're using focus time during the day, you don't multitask. You don't touch anything else on your computer. It means you can't answer your phone, or you shouldn't go and check social media, or you should have all your notifications turned off, for example, if that's a distractor of yours as well. Mine's not. I'm a person that I do have a phone and I have my message bank. So if I'm on doing focus time, that's what the phone's there for. Leave a message and I'll come back to you, because I know the power of batching. I know the power of not being interrupted during your focus time. And then, of course, once your focus time has finished, then the alarm goes off on your computer or your phone, whatever device you're using. And this is the part that's really important. Once your alarm goes off, that means you have to stop working. That means you don't continue working. And the idea is on the Pomodoro timer, you can have a short break. You set your timer for a short break or moderate break or a long break. So your break is between 5 and 15 minutes, depending on your choice as to what type of break you want. So I make sure, even if you're in the middle of something, if the timer goes off, I stop work. It doesn't mean I don't come back to that task after my break, but I stop work. I get up, I go downstairs for 10 minutes. I might get water or a cup of coffee, or look outside my window, see what's going on out there. But I make sure that I get up out of my desk and take a break, because that refreshes you. You become much more productive when you have small breaks during the day. And then, of course, I come back. And this is the only part I don't like of Pomodoro timers, is when you tick the task that you've completed, it crosses it out. And I don't like crossing out my task. I want to keep it there and keep it ticked, but it works really well. So I love that Pomodoro. And if I can have, like, for example, I do between 3 and 5 blocks. So that's between 3 hours and 5 hours in my business, where I'm not distracted. That's where I'm really focused on one specific task. If I do that, it's amazing how much productivity is increased when you have a structure or a system to follow, and you actually follow that structure and system as well. Have you ever tried Pomodoro timers, Julie?
I haven't. I've heard a couple people mention them. I think, I've been using that Flora app on my phone, and I also recently downloaded, I think it's called Feed Killer, that works with Chrome, so that if I go to Facebook, it has a quote that comes up and I don't see the feed at all. I have to actually search, like, for my group if I want to be doing work. In the past, I've managed social media for other people as well as my own. So being on my phone and on my computer doing that was my work, but I would figure out how to make it take longer, or just start looking at the wrong things. So yeah, I like that, because I'm in and out of my group. A couple groups I belong to, but mostly the groups that I manage, and I have my membership. So I want to be able to go in them. I just don't want to see random things all the time. I'll check up on what my friends are doing and cat videos later, in my free time.
Yeah, absolutely. We all know them. So let's wrap up this session. So, but before we go, Julie, what are 3 tips that you can actually, you believe that can actually increase productivity? So, what are 3 tips around increasing productivity from you?
I really think that sitting down on a Sunday and looking at your whole week and time blocking out the times that you have to work and the other, and look at your personal schedule and make sure that you've got that situated. One of the things for time for me really is also meal planning and figuring out what I'm going to be making for dinner every night during the week, because our family has a lot of stuff going on. And my son asked me when he was home from school like 20 times a day what was for dinner. I'm like, look on the fridge, you're bothering me, I'm working. So I would think that I really also think that taking a few minutes at the end of the week and celebrating what you accomplished during that week is important. I wasn't doing very much of that. And I had a coach say, you know what, you need to stop and look at all you've accomplished and not always be disappointed that you didn't do the whole to-do list and, check everything off your list, but celebrate all those things that you did do.
Sure. Fantastic. And my 3 tips is, beginning of every day, know the 3 priorities that you want to achieve during the day. And for business, if you're in business, those 3 productivities need to move your needle around your marketing. So that'll be either creating your awareness on social media, or getting your emails happening, or doing something, or set up some sort of tactical marketing, whether it be webinars or things like that. But 3 activities that will move your business forward with your marketing, because that's really, really important. Because, and I say this, Julie, is because a lot of people who are course creators, they like to sit in development mode. I just want to create more courses, but we know there's no point in creating, there's no point in doing developing if you've got no one to sell your courses to. So it's really important to develop that skill and not sit in hope marketing that someone else will actually see you or find you if you're sitting at home in your office, because in reality it won't happen. So you've got to get out there. So this is my first tip, is making sure every day you're doing something to move your business forward in the marketing around your business, if you haven't got a team that can do that for you. My second point as well is to, whatever it is, whether it's Pomodoro timers or what Julie loves doing, having your diary or whatever, is consistency. And so that consistency of, creating those good habits, which will come unconscious as you start to do habit stacking. And you stack your habits on other habits as well. So my habit stacking is every morning I get up and I make a decision. What are my activities I'm going to do today that's going to move the needle within my business? I write them down and then use Pomodoro timers. So that's the second one. And the third one is really important, is to know when you're the most creative during the day. I know for me, I'm not really alert person early in the morning, so I'm not this 9 to 5 type person that we have in the office. I'm really, really creative after lunch. So usually up until 12 o'clock, I'll do things like I'll jump on and check. Obviously, I'll check my emails and my light things, which don't take much brain power to do, because I know I'm much more productive in the afternoon. So if I've got to talk to other colleagues for relationship building or other things, or go for a walk or whatever I need to do, that goes in the morning. But when it comes after lunch, I hunker down and I zone right into my business. And I usually find that I can work really well using productivity strategies between 1 o'clock through to 6 o'clock. So that's my 6-hour blocks that I do, with my breaks in between as well. So I think it's really important to know, and we often call it our uptime, the uptime when you feel really energized in the day. And that's also your creative time as well, if you need to do creativity things like me. And some of my creativity things I do, Julie, obviously we do that when we have to put together our marketing campaigns and, and things like that. That's our creativity work that we have to do as well. But I think it's really about understanding who you are and what works best for you. But I think to me it's consistency. is consistency. Because as I was saying earlier to you, Julie, when it comes to using a diary, I'm not consistent. I last 2 weeks and it just doesn't energize me to use diaries. But give me my timer, give me my Pomodoro works. It works for me all the time. So I hope everyone's enjoyed the session today. It's been really great to have Julie on board, and thank you, Julie, so much for popping on over from overseas in America and everything else as well. It's been amazing to see you. Isn't technology amazing today that we can connect worldwide with each other as well? So let's sign off right now, and I will see you again next week with a new guest as well. And in the meantime, I hope you have a really productive time and you enjoy what you're doing today and love your business, and keep on being focused around moving the needle so you get your marketing out there as well.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Lee. It's been really fun. And I'm an afternoon worker, and that's when my creativity hits too. So we have that in common also.
Absolutely. Anyway, everyone, have an amazing day. We'll all talk to you again very soon, and take care, and talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.